Warning: the episode you're about to hear involves descriptions of sexual assault. Listener discretion is advised.
Los Angeles Sheriff Station, Deputy Shalette, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm calling from Joffrey's restaurant in Malibu.
Yeah.
We have a guest here who is refusing to pay her bill, and we think she sounds really crazy. She may be on drugs or something. We are wondering if someone can come by and pick her up.
The 911 call you just heard led to what may be the most infamous and tragic missing persons cases in recent history in Malibu. On September 17th, 2009, a 24-year-old beauty pageant contestant and psychology graduate named Mitrice Richardson was arrested after acting erratically and failing to pay her bill at the Malibu restaurant Joffrey's, just 2 minutes away from the spot where Elaine Park's car was found. She was brought to the Lost Hills Sheriff Station, where her mother called and asked whether it would be possible to get Mitrice that night, or if she needed to wait until morning. Here's that very call.
I'm her mother, and are you guys going to book her and then release her on her own recognizance tonight? Because it's dark, she doesn't have a car, and I don't want her wandering. I think the only way I will come and get her tonight is if you guys are going to release her tonight.
Yeah.
If she's going to be held in custody for some type of arraignment tomorrow, then I will wait until tomorrow. She definitely has no place, she's not from that area, and I would hate to wake up to a morning report, lost somewhere with her head chopped off. So I guess I would have to come and get her. Oh, my God.
Her mom woke up to a morning report, much like the one she was worried about. The sheriff's department released Mitrice Richardson that night onto the deserted canyon road outside the station, without her cell phone, wallet, or car. And she was never seen alive again.
Those skeletal remains found in Malibu Canyon earlier this week have been identified as Mitrice Richardson.
After an 11-month search, park rangers inspecting a marijuana grow site in the mountains found Mitrice's body deep in an isolated canyon 7 miles away from the Lost Hills Sheriff Station. The sheriff claimed there was no evidence of a homicide, but based on several inconsistencies and irregularities, many people believe foul play, as well as negligence and possibly a cover-up on the part of the sheriff's department.
I don't care what anybody says, because common sense says you do not release a young woman or anybody in the middle of the night with no means of caring for themselves. I want her returned, and I want to find out what happened to this young woman, and I want to find out now.
Dr. Rhonda Hampton is a psychologist whom Richardson interned with.
I'm sharing this story not just so you know what happened to Mitrice, because we will be discussing it more, but because Rhonda Hampton, who has led the fight for justice for Mitrice, would soon step forward with not just possible evidence of what happened to Elaine Park, but also more details on a very disturbing motive. Episode 2, Chapter 4, The Concert.
What we've discovered, beyond what the police discovered, is that Elaine was at a concert, and dates are important. Because
That's Jaden Brandt speaking. He's the investigator working pro bono for Susan Park, the mother of Elaine Park, who went missing 2 months earlier. Ingrid and I are at our first meeting with them at the Malibu home of our friends, violinist Anne-Marie Simpson and her husband, Mike Einziger of Incubus. Jaden and Elaine's mother had just left the room to discuss sharing some confidential information with us. They then returned and decided to disclose that information because they believe it's the key to solving Elaine's disappearance.
All indications from multiple sources, she was raped at that event.
Jaden and Susan believe that shortly before Elaine went missing,
there were deleted tweets.
She was planning to report this assault and those responsible to the authorities.
Talk about seeking justice. She became aware of this at the end of December, around the mid to end December 2016. This is in the time frame where she was heavily involved with Divine.
Divine, or Div, as you may recall, was Elaine's ex-boyfriend whose house she was last seen at. And this is where Jaden goes even further.
A week before she went missing, she knew that the people that...
He's been investigating a theory that Divine knew people connected to Elaine's assault, and that she was going to talk to him about her intentions to reveal the truth. Please keep in mind as you listen, you are hearing this information for the first time, just as I heard it in 2017. I tried to remain neutral and not jump to any conclusions, and I'd ask that you do the same. This was my first missing persons investigation, and I'd soon learn that things aren't always as they seem.
We were able to recover the text messages from her computer. They spoke constantly since November 8th, all the way up until January 3rd, when she sent him a long text saying she wants to get her life back together, and he should go out and work on his life, and they can't be together anymore. No communication at all from January 3rd until January 20th, when he sends her a dozen text messages in a row with no response from her.
Note that this is 8 days before Elaine disappeared.
They were basically, we've got to talk about this. Don't do anything crazy. You got to call me.
It's voted with evidence.
The indications from the friends, initially, it was other artists. It wasn't father, but it was these other artists at the show. When I talk about having a great deal of circumstantial evidence, that's what that is.
Right.
Now, I can tell you that the Sheriff's Department is ready to act on that evidence. Sheriff's Homicide feels that that is sufficient evidence to move forward and continue the investigation. But at this time, they just can't do anything about it.
The reason the Malibu Sheriff's hands are tied is because even though Elaine's car was found in their jurisdiction, the case officially belongs to the police department in Glendale, where Elaine actually lives. So the Sheriff's Department has no authority to investigate this, which is very frustrating for Jaden and Elaine's mother. So we promised to do everything we could to help. Since there was a connection to music, I also offered to look into writing about this for Rolling Stone. The magazine might open up the doors for us to some of these artists and people they were mentioning.
So we can really work together on that.
Should I talk to my editors tomorrow then?
I mean, I think everything you guys are saying, I think is a tremendous value. The consensus is, among all the investigators involved, is we got to start going back to some of the friends and asking some things that we didn't ask before. Hopefully we can kind of collaborate on that.
We just have one question, then we should probably let you guys go. Let's just say that I take the story on, and then I start sniffing around that group of people. What about do you think they're dangerous for as far as my safety or my family's safety?
I mean, my perception of danger and safety is probably skewed a bit, but you have to be aware of it, for sure.
Jaden's answer wasn't very reassuring, but it wasn't a clear and direct threat either. So we committed to pressing forward. As everyone prepared to leave, Elaine's mother made one last request.
Well, before we go, I just want to mention, there's been a few comments in the Facebook about, increasing the reward. Because, if you have, certain amount of reward, but they turn their mothers in, and, this few people are saying...
What Susan's referring to is comments from followers of the Help Find Elaine Park Facebook page, who apparently suggested that the current reward of $5,000 donated by Elaine's father was too low. We told her we'd talk to our friends and neighbors and see what we could do to increase that reward. Then, as Elaine's mother stood at the door, after a meeting that had been over 2.5 hours, she told us about the last heart-to-heart conversation she had with her daughter.
And last sort of a conversation we had was, I guess, 3 months ago now. She came to my room standing and she's like, Mom, what should I be? What can I be? What did you want to be when you grow up, Mom? And I said, when I was young, I guess I wanted to be a singer, but I'm not really good singing, but I wanted to be a singer. And so she kind of chuckled and she goes, well, what should I be? I don't know what I want to be. And I said, well, she's really good in English. She loves to write, and she's very creative in writing. And she's really good in detailed drawing, too. I said, well, since you're traveling a lot and you're really good in English and you like to, be on the spot and attention and all, so why don't you be a journalist? I could see you on TV. And I always watch, Fox News, CNN, Channel 9, Channel 7. See that? I would like to see you do that. But then, I was crying the other day. I didn't mean to see you on TV in a missing person case, That's not what I was. Just I was sobbing and crying, talking to myself.
Chapter 5. The Smokeout. Our little team jumped into action. We had never done this before, but clearly we'd been deputized. Being a journalist and a former newspaper fact-checker, the first thing I wanted to do is confirm firsthand the information Jaden had shared. I called Rosemarie Wheeler. Rosemarie is the friend of Elaine's mom we met at that initial meeting. How do we know that Elaine was going to confront Divine about this?
Rhonda Hampton was told at the search by friends of Elaine that was the plan of Elaine the night that she went to see Divine.
Rhonda Hampton, as you may recall from the beginning of this episode, is the psychologist Mitrice Richardson had interned for. Rhonda had helped Mitrice's family after she went missing. And like Ingrid, she also noticed how little had been done for Elaine Park. So she helped organize a search on March 12th. Do we know which girls those were?
It might have been Danielle and Sadie. And I might even have pictures. Because I had taken so many pictures that day. There were only 2 or 3 of her friends that showed up. There weren't very many.
If you give me those photos, I can show them to Rhonda and ask.
Let me go look through my photos and see if I have any of the girls that were there.
Rosemarie went on to tell me about an incident that occurred at the search between Divine's mother, Tanya, and Elaine's friends.
When we were searching, the compares had driven by a few times. Tanya was sitting in the front seat, and she rolled down the window at the stop sign and just yelled, are you Daisy? Are you Daisy? She was yelling at Danielle. Are you Daisy, you little bitch?
Daisy is a friend of Elaine's from when she went to Pierce College.
Oh gosh, it was awful, and I don't know why. Unless Daisy was going after Divine after the fact. And Daisy wasn't at the search.
Well, why wasn't Daisy at the search?
I don't know. You know what? I could double check. I should send the sign-in sheets. I have it all of who attended.
That'd be great to see.
So, yeah. I will get that. what's the connection between Daisy and Divine? Because as far as I know, they didn't really know each other. I never had the opportunity to ask Daisy. I wish I had. You know what? Can I say one more thing?
Please.
The comparers shut Facebook down. They shut my Facebook down.
By her Facebook, Rosemary means the Help Find Elaine Park Facebook page that she started to support Elaine's mom.
I couldn't make any posts. And Jaden confirmed that they did shut the page down. But Facebook was super cooperative in getting me back up and running in like 2 days. But it's just weird. Yeah, they have a great platform to stand on, you know, and they could put it out on a national level. Why not just help us?
While I was speaking with Rosemary, Mike Einziger tried to get in touch with Divine. The reason he took on this task is because he had a direct connection to Divine's father, Shakim. It turns out that Incubus's manager, Johnny Wright, happens to know Shakim, so Mike had his manager make an introduction. Here's a reenactment of part of that call with an actor playing Shakim.
I'd love to be able to get together with you and your son. I don't know if that's possible, but he might be able to actually give us some information that might be able to help us out.
But yeah, my son, they weren't really like dating. It was like, you know, they had recently met, so it wasn't like it was his girlfriend.
Okay, I mean, we're just trying to help figure out what happened and solve a problem.
Well, Michael, I appreciate it 1,000%, but it would mean a lot more to me because, you know, like I said, I've talked to the detectives a couple of times, and we have nothing to hide. We gave them the video of everything we had, and they've been in the house. They've talked to our attorneys. So, like I said, I think the best thing to do in this situation, if you really want to help us, is to share that information with the police and let them do with it what they may.
Yeah, that's fair enough. The only issue with that is that the police decided very, very early on that this is just like a volunteer missing person case, so they're kind of not really doing anything.
Well, not this guy. Not this guy. I think you will like this guy. I think you will like this guy that I've been dealing with. And like I said, if you really want to help, I think it's best to share that information with the people that can do something about it.
While Shakim was polite, it was also clear that he wasn't interested in speaking with some random rock star moonlighting as a detective. So with this one road to Divine closed, we decided to continue our research, then circle back later. My next step was to schedule a meeting with psychologist and missing persons advocate Rhonda Hampton at her office in Diamond Bar, California. Rhonda had helped organize the initial search for Elaine.
I talked to the detective. He was not going to search. And I said, well, I'm going to do it myself. And just got my volunteers together. And then she was able to get lots of of her friends together to come out. And we just did the search.
Rhonda Hampton had also been doing her own social media diving and noticed something that bothered her.
I just felt like she was involved in something else. If that's true, I'm looking at her friends, and those friends know something.
So Rhonda found a situation during the search where she could talk to Elaine's friends, alone and unobserved.
I said, well, what do you think happened? Why do you think she was even at Divine's house in the first place?
Right.
And they told me because she told them that she was going there to confront him about the rape and that she wanted to file charges. She wanted him to be like her witness or to, you know, support her in that. So that's why she was going.
Rhonda asked Elaine's friends what evidence they had to prove that Elaine was going to see Divine to get his support before she reported the assault to the police.
The girls said that there was a video, which I believe they said was like about 45 minutes long. And she was going on and on and on about what happened to her and how she was going to go challenge Divine on it. And I think it was like about 2 or 3 days before she actually went to the house. They clearly were saying that she was going to tell him, you need to help me confront him.
Rhonda then brought up the name of a very famous rapper. Why she mentioned him is unclear to me, since he wasn't performing at the concert that Elaine went to that night.
Then we start talking for some reason about Kodak Black. And so they were saying that they thought it was absolutely crazy to think that Kodak Black would have had anything to do with raping anybody or anything like that. I said, well, girls, you do know that he's been in jail. They didn't. They stopped dead in their tracks. And that's when the tone changed. I said, okay, girls, so what's up? There's one that has brown hair and one that has blonde hair.
Okay.
So the one with the blonde hair was saying, no, we have to tell her everything. We need to tell her everything. And then the other one was like, no, we're not. Those two girls know something.
They said Kodak Black?
No, I did, because I was looking at, it was either Instagram or whatever, and just looking at who was in and around the time that Elaine went missing, like maybe a month before and a month after. And Kodak Black's name, he just showed up in one of the photographs.
And you saw that on Div's Instagram?
I think it was Div's Instagram.
I asked Rhonda what evidence she had that Elaine was going to come forward now, and she referenced a video on the streaming app Periscope.
They said it had happened a while ago, but for some reason, she put it on Periscope, like right before she went missing. I don't know what it is that they're not telling me. Because one of them wanted to tell me, the brown hair one, like she wanted to tell me everything. The other one wouldn't let her.
I showed Rhonda the pictures Rosemarie had given to me so she could identify the two friends. And she identified them as Kristen and Danielle. I also asked her if she knew why Divine's mother was yelling for Daisy, and she had no idea. So now I needed to talk to all three of these friends, Danielle, Kristen, and Daisy.
Smoke those friends out. Somebody knows something. One of those friends knows something.
The friend I was most curious about was Daisy. Why was Divine's mother looking for her? And what does she know about the events leading up to Elaine's disappearance? The only problem was that we weren't sure how to best get in touch with her. Fortunately, there are cases when having a famous musician on your investigative team comes in handy.
I tweeted something about Elaine, and then Daisy retweeted it. Like she's paying attention, to what we're saying. And so I figured if she retweeted my tweet that she'd be receptive to me reaching out to her. So I said, hey, Daisy, thank you for retweeting the post about Elaine. And then I sent her a screenshot of this concert that we were playing at the Staples Center a few days later. And it was like us and Skrillex and Zedd and Halsey and Macklemore and Imagine Dragons and all these artists. And then I wrote, I'm playing this concert at the Staples Center on Monday, want to come hang? And she wrote, thank you for sharing. Elaine's my best friend. And then she wrote, yeah, sounds like fun. So we exchanged numbers, and then I just wrote, all good, we'll text you, so it'll be easier for you to find me backstage after the show.
That's amazing. We all met at Mike Einziger and Anne-Marie's house before the show and discussed the plan for the night.
We were strategizing about how Mike's meeting Daisy tonight.
The goal was just to build a relationship with Daisy so we could get honest answers to our questions that might not be shared in a police or a private investigator interrogation. If Rhonda Hampton is right, and the friends are hiding something, this may be our best chance to build trust and get the truth. Here's Anne-Marie.
It's a really simple plan. We're going to let her talk, let her be organic, no probing. Mike will brief the band that, Daisy's coming, not to talk at all about the case, because I think they know about it.
They know, but I don't want any of them to be like, "Hey, what's up with that murder case?" They know about the case, but they don't know that they don't know any specific details about it.
And then we also mentioned how important it is for, if they organically do talk about the case, for Mike not to accidentally reveal their details.
I can act cool.
So then that's all that we have for the Daisy strategy. It's just really basic. We don't want to get too in depth.
Mike called on his way home from the concert and said that he had indeed met Daisy. And she agreed to speak with us candidly about Elaine.
They were super excited about the concert. They seemed super happy to be there. They'll totally talk to us.
While waiting to meet with Daisy, I called Jaden to figure out if I needed to look into Kodak Black also. The name appeared to come completely out of the blue, and it seemed that this connection was based more on his arrest record than an actual fact.
We looked into him because there was some incidental, link to kind of that group and what was going on. We actually spoke with his attorney, and he stated that he talked to Kodak and actually showed him a picture of Elaine. And, from what he said, Kodak said that he's never met Elaine, never seen Elaine, and that he was in fact not in Los Angeles on January 27th or the 28th. And we actually confirmed that because he did have hit a concert on January 28th in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay, great. Thanks. I'm going to chase down all the rest of the stuff that you mentioned and also that Rhonda Hampton mentioned.
For sure. Yeah, no problem. And let me know.
2 days after Mike's concert, Daisy nervously arrived at his house with her boyfriend.
I'm Daisy.
Hey, good to meet you. Hey, Daisy.
And though I expected to meet someone who was nonchalant about Elaine, the person I met instead was a friend who cared very much about Elaine. This is Daisy.
I didn't talk to her for like 2 months before this even happens, and then she goes missing. This is crazy. She just said she was getting her life together and she'll talk to me soon.
I asked Daisy if she was comfortable speaking with us about everything, even things that might make her or Elaine look bad or possibly be illegal.
I'm like really okay with speaking about everything, just like the most probably with like talking about the boyfriend, just because I've never personally met him. I don't even know what he looks like, and I just don't want him to like, he was asking for me, and I think that's just really weird for him to be asking for me. I never met him. Like, I never even knew what he looked like until recent.
And you didn't you weren't in touch with Dave at all?
No, the only time I had like a conversation with him was when it happened. I called him and he knew who I was, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just calling you, like trying to ask you what happened. He said they went to the movies and he Ubered them there so she doesn't have to drive. They came back and they fell asleep or something like that. And she got up at 4 in the morning. He told me 4. He was very sure that it was 4 in the morning. And he said she woke up at 4 in the morning and he's like, I ain't never seen anybody change so fast in my life. And she got up and left.
It's worth remembering that according to the security camera footage outside the Compare's house, Elaine left just after 6 a.m.
She seemed very upset over something, and I was like, okay, upset about what? You didn't ask her? And he was just like, I don't know, well, you know, everything that's going on in her house, but yeah.
And do you believe what Dave's saying?
I don't really believe it, just because I don't know who he is, and I never met him, so I don't even know, like, how he is, you know? Why do you go to the search party and ask for me and don't even hope to look for Elaine? He didn't even help look for her. All he went is to go ask for me, and that was it. And then they said Daisy's not here, and he drove off.
I asked Daisy why she thought Divine and his family were looking for her so intently.
I don't know, it's just weird. Like, what do you want? Why are you looking for me? Like, you know?
And so what do you think?
I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, that's literally the only thing I can think of. She's not the type to be taken. She's just so, like, aware of everything. If a car's following her, she'll notice it. She's just, like, not the type for that to happen to her at all.
Her and Div had broken up beforehand, right?
Yeah.
So why was she going back to Div's?
You see, I don't know.
Up?
Since Daisy was at the concert where Elaine was assaulted, I asked her about that night.
Went to this concert, and then this was at the observatory in Orange County. It was bad. We got to the show, and then we met up with Michael.
Michael is the road manager of the rapper Father, who headlined the concert that night, which also featured Playboi Carti and other artists.
And we were at the merch table, and it was me and my other friend Viviana, and we were like hanging out there. And Elaine was with us too. Playboi Carti came up to the table. At the time, I had no idea who he was, so I was like, "Who are you?" He comes up to me, and I don't even know how he knew I had weed, but he was like, "Let me buy some weed off of you," and I was like, "Who are you? No, this is like mine, you know. I'm not gonna sell you my weed." And he was like, "Come with me." I was like, "I'll smoke with you if you want, but like I'm not gonna sell you my weed." Then this is how we got to the back. And then I went to the back with Playboi Carti, and then like I smoked, and instead of like smoking with him, he took my weed. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave. I don't want to be here. It's like I kind of just want to go see the show, and she wanted to stay there, and because she was like cool with Michael and stuff, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I was like, I'm gonna go. I'll be back. And then I left, and then I didn't see her the whole concert at all. And to the end, I was like, okay, like where's Elaine? So I'm like looking for her, and she like came to me, and then at the time I thought she was just really drunk. So then like one of her friends like Ubered us from there and like dropped everybody off. She told me like that she feels like maybe she had like hooked up with somebody like when she was like really drunk and like in the restroom or something. But we don't know who. Yeah, we don't know who. When I asked like Michael, because I was like, what did she do? Like, did she do any drugs or anything? Like, why was she so fucked up? And then he was like, well, she was doing Xanax.
Daisy went on to explain that she was told Elaine was doing Xanax with an artist backstage, which when combined with alcohol, put her in a condition where she was not fully able to recall what happened, let alone give consent. A year later, as Elaine began to realize what had happened at the concert, she began cutting off friends who were with her that night, including Daisy.
Elaine wasn't talking to me for like a month and a half, like 2 months. And then I hung out with my friend, Elizabeth. And I was talking to her, and I was like, have you talked to Elaine? Because I haven't talked to her, and I'm kind of getting a little worried. And she's like, no, like, me too. Like, she's not talking to me either. Like, I don't know what's wrong. Maybe she's mad at me. And yeah, I text her every day, like, are you okay? And then that's when she told me about the tweets. She was telling me that she was posting, like, provocative pictures as well, like, on there. And that's not Elaine. She doesn't do that. Elizabeth says something about, you know who you are, you know what you did. Yes. I feel like she recently found out. I feel like those 2 months that she didn't talk to me, I think that's when she found out. I'm pretty sure she knows something because Michael told me, when I called Michael, he said that Elaine contacted him about that night recently, like in January before she went missing, and she was asking him more questions, like, do you know, like anything that happened or stuff like that. Like, she was just a lot more curious about it. I don't know why. That night was so bad. That's literally like the worst ever. Like, I wasn't there, you know, I would never let her do something like that.
I asked if there was anyone Elaine was still close to, and Daisy mentions one of Elaine's high school friends.
In the months that I wasn't talking to her, she was talking to, Elaine was talking to Sadie, but she wasn't talking to me. Sadie saw her like right before she went to Div's at 7 p.m. Div told me that she got to his place at like 8 or something like that. Sadie went to Elaine's house to pick up like a curler or something like that. She said that Elaine just went in and got it and gave it to her and said nothing and just drove off. Like, Sadie knows stuff like that she didn't want to tell me. I even pretended. I was like, oh yeah, Elaine told me, and just try to see if she'll tell me, but I don't know. I think she knows stuff, but I just don't know. Just maybe she doesn't want to say because Elaine probably told her like not to say anything. But at this point, it's like you kind of have to talk.
What's unbelievable to me is that Elaine has been missing for 2 months, and the people who care about her aren't effectively communicating to find out what happened. It seems like everyone is hiding secrets about her. Shortly after the Father Playboy Cardi show, Daisy was with Elaine at another concert at the Observatory by the artist Xavier Wolf. And something odd happened in the parking lot.
So we all went to the parking lot, and then this like Asian guy, I have like no idea what his name is, but this Asian guy like whispered in her ear saying like, it's like so gross, but he was like, give me top or something like that. And we were like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, who the hell are you? And then I think he was like at the show, and like he remembers her from the show. I see him a lot. He's like a photographer or something, but I don't know his name. But I always see him at like a lot of shows. I've seen him at Father ones. I've seen him at Playboy Cardi shows. I've seen him at Xavier shows. I've seen him everywhere. But I just don't know his name at all. Maybe he saw something. I don't know. Maybe he knows what happened that day. Because he did whisper in her ear, and I was like, what did he tell you? Like, that's so weird. But it was creepy.
This person that Daisy is talking about may not only know what happened to Elaine, but he may have been backstage at the Observatory that night. I needed to find out who he was. Before Daisy left, I asked her for the number of Father's road manager, Michael. Here's Michael.
I met Elaine about 2 years ago. I was tour managing for an act that she was a fan of. He tweeted out, like, you know, who's got Xans in LA or Xanax, and she was one of the people that responded to the tweet.
Just to clarify, according to Daisy, Elaine was definitely not a drug dealer. She just wanted to meet the artist, and since she had a hookup for Xanax, she found a way to make it happen.
You know, they exchanged info. She came to our Airbnb, and we were in Pasadena at the time, and she came through. She sold him the Xans. She ended up being cool, so we put her on the guest list.
Is there any chance at all that Divine was there that night?
I'm not sure to say if he was at the show or not. And I came across his Instagram just because I've kind of been obsessed with this case too past couple months. You know, this guy is a huge Ian Connor fan, huge Playboy Cardi fan, like really follows their fan pages, their regular pages, just like a real ASAP kind of guy. So I have hella theories in my head about what happened to Elaine.
As far as what happened to Elaine at the concert, Michael says that he knows nothing about this. However, about a month before Elaine's disappearance, he received an unusual phone call from her.
Fast forward to this past December 2016, where she texts me and says, you know, Mike, I got to talk to you about something serious. Call me. And I call her, and she asked me, like, you know, a lot of people have been coming up to me saying, you know, I might have possibly gotten, like, assaulted or raped or something at the show 2 years ago. And I know you don't drink or smoke at shows, so I just wonder if you remembered anything or OD like that. I don't know if you've ever been to the Observatory in Santa Ana, but backstage at Observatory Santa Ana is huge, like several rooms. Usually venues have like 1 or 2 green rooms, 1 or 2 private bathrooms, but that shit's huge. So I told her I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, but at the same time I couldn't say that it happened. I feel like the possibilities are endless. I just asked her, like, you know, if this has happened like so long ago, like, why are you just calling me about it now? Like, when everyone's memory's so fuzzy. And she just said, like, I just can't take it anymore. Like, I tried to block it out. Like, I tried to forget about it since I don't remember what happened. But at this point, like, I gotta, like, search for answers. It's been tough lately, like, with school and work and all types of shit. Like, I just really haven't even been myself. Like, she used to, like
just little artsy shit like drawing and shit. She said she hasn't been on that shit just because like how heavy the situation had been weighing on her. Trying to block it out, and she like literally couldn't because it kept coming up over, you know, whether it be weeks or months or whatever, even years. Like it's just something that kept reemerging. 2 weeks after that, or so, maybe 3 weeks, is when Daisy added me on Instagram, and I saw that her picture was, would help me find my missing friend, Elaine.
Do you know any of the people who came up to her and said stuff? Because, like, if I could somehow find those people.
No, I don't. She had told me a name. She asked me if I knew him, and I didn't, but she had mentioned a specific name. But, man, it'd be impossible for me to recall right now, honestly.
Shit, man. Was it like a stage kind of name, or was it like just a person's name?
You know, it was a guy's name, and he was involved with Xavier Wolf.
Oh, dude. Was it an Asian dude?
Yes.
Fuck. Oh, what? Shit. No, because Daisy mentioned it was an Asian dude, huh?
Yes, it was an Asian dude, somehow, like, affiliated with Xavier Wolf.
After hearing Michael's firsthand account, I had enough clues to search hashtags and followers on Instagram to try to find an Asian male who was at the concert where Elaine was assaulted and who was also associated with the rapper Xavier Wolf. And sure enough, I eventually found an account under the name Kenny Chosen of an Asian male who was at the concert and had photos hanging out with Xavier Wolf and Playboi Carti. So I immediately called Elaine's friend Daisy.
Hello?
Oh, hey.
Hey, sorry, my phone was charging.
I wanted to confirm that this was indeed the person who came up to Elaine talking about the assault. I'm going to send you a photo and see if this looks like him to you.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to text it right now. Let's see if this is the guy. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No way. Really? This is definitely the guy who came up to Elaine and said the weird stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just the guy that came up to Elaine. We didn't even know him, never hung out with him, never interacted with him, just there.
We had our man. Finally, we might be able to find out what happened to Elaine at that concert and if there's any connection between that and her disappearance. I messaged Kenny Chosen on Instagram, and eventually he responded with his phone number. So I called him. Hey, Kenny? Kenny?
Hey, what up? How you doing?
Hey, so yeah, I'm calling kind of about a strange story that you might not even know about, but you might actually be able to help with it.
Sure.
There was a Playboi Carti father show in LA, be it like the Observatory or something. And were you backstage at the show?
Oh yeah, I was backstage.
Do you remember there was like an Asian girl named Elaine Park? And she was like drinking, taking Xanax, and like a little fucked up?
Lower the volume. I'm doing a phone interview.
Kenny steps away from the phone, then returns.
I remember though, sir.
Thank you for listening to this episode. And I have a few important announcements. This is still an active investigation, so if you have any information regarding the disappearance of Elaine Park or any of the parties that have been mentioned here, please email us at livediela@tenderfoot.tv, or you can call us anonymously at 213-204-2073. As mentioned in this podcast, we've been able to add to the reward, and it currently stands at $140,000 for any information leading directly to Elaine Park's whereabouts. We've posted supplemental material related to this investigation on our social media accounts at LiveDieLAPod. If you have experienced sexual violence and are seeking help or would like more information, you can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-4673. To Live and Die in LA is a production of Tenderfoot TV and Neil Strauss in association with Cadence 13. Executive producers are Neil Strauss, Donald Albright, and Payne Lindsay. Produced and edited by Tristan Bankston. Consulting producer, Alex Vespestead. Mixed and mastered by Cooper Skinner and Devin Johnson. Original music and score by Makeup and Vanity Set, with additional musical services by Tristan Bankston. The theme song is Love and War by Flurry. Cover design by Trevor Eiler, with Isaac Johnson as the voice of Shakim. And special thanks to Chris Corcoran and the team at Cadence 13, Abigail Bankston, Oren Siegel, Oren Rosenbaum and Grace Royer at UTA, the Nord Group, Station 16, and Beck Media and Marketing. Please subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Our hope is to expose these stories so that we may learn from them and hold those responsible accountable for their actions. Thank you for your support.